With over 50 years of their production, the Remington 700 became a symbol of American craftsmanship, history, and engineering. It was adopted by the military as the M24 sniper weapon system, the M40s, and currently by the Marine snipers as the M2010 using a 300 Winchester Magnum, which is a beast. It was also adopted by several police forces and agencies all over the United States as the Remington 700P for police in 308 and 223. Currently, the Remington 700 Action is being cloned by more than a dozen of a producer, custom maker of arms all over the United States, for which they charge a lot of money, but they still, in its basic, a Remington 700 Action. For all those reasons, we're going to be talking about the Remington 700. Among the specifications that the Remington 700 is going to be available, first of all, the cartridges that is going to be available, you're going to have the short action, for which the holes over here, the action is going to be shorter. It's going to be the ones available, it's going to be the 308 Remington, the 223, the 6.5 Creedmoor, which is a more modern rifle. It's going to be a flatter trajectory, it's going to be a faster bullet, but it's going to eat your barrel every 3,000 rounds. Keep that in mind. It's also available for 2506, for 280, and for 243. Among the long action cartridges that the Remington 700 it is produced is going to be for the 3006, 300 Winchester Magnum, 338 Lapua Magnum, 270, and 7mm. The action in itself is going to be a bolt action, rotating bolt with 2 fixed locks. So it's going to be every time you close the bolt, you're going to have to take your shot, and then you're going to have to do the same procedure. One shot, one bolt. You're going to have to do a full stroke. It is possible to get a bolt action rifle jam if you do a short stroke. You're not gonna be totally ejecting the previous cartridge, and you're not gonna be fully sitting in the chamber the previous cartridge that was over there. The feeding mechanism that is going to be available, the previous one was the ADL, in which you will have to feed all the bullets, the cartridges from the top, and then you will have to expel them from the top as well. There was a second generation of Remington 700 with the BDL, in which you have a fold plate over here in case you will ever have a jam. All you're gonna have to do is they all will come out for, that was for fast unloading when closing fences or anything. I believe the Remington M24 sniper weapon system, that's the system, is kind of oldish but it's still working. And finally, the detachable box magazine. I like Accuracy International, but MDT makes some Accuracy International pattern way cheaper than the Accuracy International magazine, which are very expensive. The barrel length for the Remington 700, they vary. They go from 16 inches barrel length to 26 inches. This one specifically is a 24 inches. I prefer 24 because it's going to build up more muzzle velocity for wind deflection. It's going to be better on terminal ballistic when you hit a wild hog or whatever you're going to be hitting, depending on your purpose. It's going to have a more stocking power. It's going to hit harder. And the third reason I prefer 24 is going to be it's going to allow me to save on gunpowder. I also have a reloading session. Please go check. The rifling internally, previously they were done using the 6R rifling internal, which is going to have a lance and groove. I'll have to do different videos. If you're planning on buying a Remington 700, a modern one, I would only buy the 5R rifling, and then the twist rate is going to be how many turns it's going to be doing for every inches. Previously there was a 1 in 12 inches turn, then it was produced for the 1 in 11.25, which is this one. And the modern configuration is going to be for the 1 in 10. The 1 in 12 was only able to stabilize the 155 maximum 168. The medium one, 1 in 11, it is capable of stabilizing most of the bullets, including the 175, which this rifle loves. And the 1 in 10 was the latest generation that is going to stabilize a 168, probably heavier, 175, and up to 180. But if you try to shoot a 155 grain used for hunting on a 1 in 10 twist, it's not going to be the most accurate shots coming out of your rifle. The barrel style that the Remington 700 was produced, the first one was the Hunter version, which was a pencil barrel configuration. That was the lightest one. That's the one that is not going to be, it's not going to keep the best accuracy. If you're going to be taking over 5 shots, that's going to be overheating, and it's going to be deflecting the shots all over. There is another version that comes with a varmint configuration, for which was like a heavier one. That's pretty much for varmint hunt your marmots, your groundhogs, your baboons, any raccoons, etc. The next configuration for barrel would be the police, and finally, this is the police version, is thicker than varmint. And finally, the M24, which is a full bull barrel, all the way from the chamber all the way to the front. It's the heaviest one, but it's the most accurate as well. Remington 700, they were involved in a lawsuit around 2014. They had to replace over 7,085,085 triggers, because some of the users that were accusing Remington 700 that the triggers, they would shoot if they were bumped, if they were not properly maintained. From the beginning, I never liked the Remington 700 trigger. They were replaced by Timney triggers. I also did a review on Timney trigger on my channel. You can take a look at the one I use. So if you are considering replacing that one, the thing with the Remington 700, I was never able to lower the trigger pull weight below 3 pounds, which is what's mostly required for military or law enforcement officers. But I have 3 of them. I never liked them. It's just my personal preference. Aftermarket parts for Remington 700, there are hundreds of them, including chassis, including stocks, including triggers, including muzzle devices such as brakes, flash hiders, including different bolt handles, including all the metal sights. Some people like to run metal sights. Some people do not like a high power magnification rifle scope. So aftermarket part is not something that you should be worry about for the Remington 700. It is well known worldwide, and it have hundreds of varieties. For operation, the way you're going to be using your Remington 700, you're going to open the bolt, you're going to pull it all the way to the back. Make sure when you're going to be cycling the bolt, you're going to do a full stroke all the way to the front and all the way to the back. That way you will eject the previous cartridge, and that way you're going to fully seat the cartridge that you're loading onto the chamber in the front. It is possible to cause a jam on a bolt action. Some people say they never jam. You can, if you do a full stroke or you start monkeying around in this position, you're gonna have a jam internally. For that purpose, I'm gonna show the loading and unloading procedure with a detachable box and magazine. You're gonna insert it till you feel the snaps. A lot of people, when they insert the magazine, they only leave it like here, not fully seated. And when you try to cycle, it's not going to feel. You have to feel the snapping. Then you're going to push forward and you're going to pull down the bolt. That way you already put one in the chamber. You're going to make sure it's in the fire position, and then you can pull the trigger. I'm using snap caps. I'm not using a real ammunition. I'm in a civilian environment or city limit. After you take your shot, you're going to pull the bolt up and down. That way you're going to eject the cartridge. If you're going to empty your magazine, you're going to press the lever over here and you will be able to take it out. It is very common for people that when they finish their training session, they pull the magazine and they take it back home. And sometime later at home, one of their children went and they play with the bullet, the cartridge that was left in the chamber. That is one of the main reasons America have a lot of accidents all over. Make sure when you do that, you never leave one around in the chamber. So even though you remove the magazine, there was one in the chamber, and that is one of the main cause of accident. So be careful on that. The disassembling for cleaning purposes, you're going to press a tiny button over here in front of the trigger, and you will be able to fully remove the bolt for cleaning purposes. The cleaning criteria, personally, if I'm going to be, I regularly clean my Remington 700 after every range trip, because I don't know when I'm going to be going back to the range. Sometimes I spend like 2-3 months without going back. And then I want to make sure it's not going to build up any kind of rust or anything inside. But if you're going to be using it quite frequently, because if you're into competition, if it's going to be your hunting season, or you're going to be using it twice a month or every month, you don't have to really polish the barrel inside. That's one of the main reasons why the Remington 700 barrel, they might lose their accuracy, because some people really polish and overly clean their barrel. I also recommend people to keep a notebook so you can keep a chart of how many rounds you have shot through your barrel. You can keep a note and charts of what's the preferred ammunition, what's the preferred bullet weight, depending on the cartridge you selected, depending on your twist rate, depending on a lot of factors. You can also keep a tracking of your cleaning routine, so that way you know when your Remington 700 barrel is gonna start decreasing its accuracy. You can keep a track of your maintenance and a lot of things. It is very important. Every time I have both use a rifle, if I don't see a note for records or all those things that I previously mentioned, to me that's like a no thank you, I'm gonna skip it for next one. Some of the most common misconception about the Remington 700 or any other precision rifle out there on the market is that every time you will replace your chassis or your original stock for a chassis or any other one on the market, is going to improve your accuracy. And it actually has nothing to do with accuracy. What a chassis is going to allow you is to custom fit your weapon to yourself. I don't have the same body build as some of my buddies when we go to the range. Some of them are way taller than me. Some of them are way stockier than me. I guarantee you, if I sit on your car, I'm going to be moving the height of your steering wheel. I'm going to be adapting, moving the chair, the seat on the car. I'm going to be playing all the mirrors in the car to my size. That way, every time you touch, or you're going to be using somebody else's rifle, you will have to do a lot of adjustment. You will also have to do some adjustment on the sight, because I need to wear glasses, but I have it configured to my sight. So whenever somebody tells you that you have to upgrade for a chassis because it's going to give you more accuracy, it will only give you a hand on preventing fatigue and making you feel more comfortable with your new chassis. Another thing that you have to keep in mind, every time you replace your chassis or your stock for a different one, you do not have to adjust the zero. The zero has to do with the distance between the center of your scope and the center of your barrel. It depends pretty much a lot on your cartridge that is going to be used, but every time you replace it, you shouldn't be moving your point of impact or anything unless there is something internally. Some of the turrets or knob is going to be touching the barrel. So don't worry about that. Don't believe any of the misconceptions out there. Another misconception that exists on the internet about using precision rifle, that a lighter trigger is going to help you achieve a better accuracy. That is a no at all. If you give a competition trigger to a novice shooter, he won't be shooting any better than anyone that already have experience. As well as if you give a not so good trigger to a competitor, a professional marksman, you will notice that he will continue to be an upstanding shooter. It has nothing to do, it has to do with practice. However, when you're going to be taking shots over 500 meters, if you're using a 6-pound trigger, a 5-pound trigger, your crosshair is going to be harder to keep it on the target because of the trigger pull weight. That is something that it will be easier with a lighter pull trigger weight. Another misconception is that every time you will replace a bullet, it's going to work for everybody's rifle. A bullet and rifle accuracy, it will be pretty much linked to the rifle specific twist rate internally. This rifle, it doesn't shoot well all the 155 grains, but it will shoot well 175, 168, the 180. It will not shoot well on this rifle because it's a twist rate, which is 1 in 11.25. Mosquitoes are eating me. Another misconception, which I fell for some time ago, I have to ask a couple of people that I look up and I know they're way more knowledgeable than I am into this field, is about certain liquids that some people sell over the internet that is going to increase the accuracy of your rifle. And then I fell for it. I poured some liquids inside the barrel. When I checked the muzzle velocity, it was really all over the place. It was not consistent at all. Don't put any liquid on your barrel. That's just misconception. The Remington 700 have a very special side in my heart. I've owned so far 3 of them. From the worst one that I wasn't able to shoot 2 MOA, including with a hand-loaded ammunition, that was a real bad one. The second one was also the 3rd generation, this one with the 5R rifling. This one is shooting consistently on at least 1 MOA. If I get more practice, I'm going to be shooting sub MOA, but generally at least a 1 MOA. I am confident that if you buy one, if you practice, if you seek knowledge, if you gather with people who are knowledgeable, they're going to coach you, they're going to correct you, they're going to guide you. This was going to become a very effective tool when time is needed for hunting or for any purpose that you will be using a Remington 700 action. This one, I really love them. I'm very pleased with it. They have plenty of configuration. They have plenty of aftermarket parts. They have plenty of calibers available. It is very common. It's very customizable. Just remember, when you're taking accurate shot, keep your eyes on the reticle. Don't focus on anything else. Once you already have read the wind, once you already have everything settled in time, just keep your eyes on the reticle. Don't get distracted. And before you leave this video, make sure you subscribe so you will not lose any upcoming videos. You will gonna share it with like-minded people, and you give me a like if you find it interesting. Thank you for your time.